Can we hear me clearly? Can we hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right, so disclaimer before we start. My session, I'm going to be doing a lot of feedback in the course of the session. So I need you to be alive. Can we hear me clearly? Can we hear me clearly?
Yes.
Don't be shy. I should be the one shy, right? Don't be shy. All right, so my name is Chimezie Nwabueze. I am a master's graduate from Management Information Systems this year. So all you see on the screen are some of what I do, but I just kept it to the things that are relevant to our discussion today. So I'm a WordPress web developer, I'm a digital solutions provider, and I am the international coordinator for a non-government, non-profit organization that works with teenagers across Africa. All right, and today we're going to go on a bit of a journey into my story, to my life, how I got here, and the relevance of the study to me in my job and career currently. So we'll start with my story. How many of us were in high school as at 2012? 2012. How many of us were in high school as at 2012? Okay, one. Okay, how many of us had graduated from high school in 2012? Okay, how many of us had not yet entered high school in 2012? You hadn't yet gotten to high school in 2012. Okay, I see quite. All right, so 2012 was when I graduated from my undergraduate studies. It took me 10 years from my undergraduate studies to eventually do a master's program. And the reason was simply because I knew as at my final year in school that I wasn't going to be pursuing that path. So I had 10 years of exploration before I eventually started this master's program. And in between that graduation and this, I started another master's program online on management psychology. But my salary at the time could not fund it. So I dropped out of that too in the course of the study. Why is this relevant in what I am about to talk about today to you? Many of us here, some of us here are undergraduates, some of us are master's students, some of us are on the verge of graduating. And the question you're asking yourself is, what next? What's the path forward? How should I make a decision going forward? And so I'm going to take you on a journey with me to understand what brought me here, the lessons I've gotten in the course of this, and what you can get from that. Now, if you were not aware, I don't know if I see it in my previous slide. Okay, it's not here. So, how many of us can guess the course I did in my undergraduate studies? I mean, I did a master's in management information systems, so I feel like that could give you a little bit of an expo. Software, okay. Okay, any other person? Two vastly different things. Right, so the question is, why MIS? How did I get here? I did biochemistry in my undergraduates. By the time I was done with undergraduate, I knew I wasn't going to pursue that. Now, here's the thing, in Nigeria, as opposed to over here, and in most of Europe and America, here you apply to biochemistry because you want to study biochemistry. You apply to microbiology because you want to study microbiology. In Nigeria, 70 to 80% of students that go on to do biochemistry, microbiology, zoology, botany are people who couldn't get into medical school. So it wasn't because you wanted to do biochemistry, it was because you were not accepted for medicine, so you pivot into any of those and hope that somewhere along the line, if you have a high enough CGPA, you can still switch into medicine. That was my story. I was sure I was going to be a medical doctor. I was sure I was going to be a neurosurgeon. I had read all the books, the Think Big and all those books that inspired you to want to be neurosurgeon and all of that. But by my second year, I knew I wasn't going to pursue that. I knew that wasn't my calling. I knew that wasn't my interest. All right. Now, after I left undergraduate studies, I told myself, I've spent 4 plus years, completing a course I knew halfway that I wasn't going to pursue, just so I could say I have a degree. And I told myself, if I'm ever going to do a master's program, I would be sure it is something relevant to where I'm going. And that took me on a long journey across different fields of industry, across different volunteer jobs, across different works, paid and unpaid and all of that. And along the line there, across that 10 years, I failed at some things, I excelled at some things, I built some capacity until I got to the point where I knew, okay, this is the path, this looks like what I want to do, these look like the kind of things I'm interested in. And that was what set me on this course. And so I chose Management Information System for some reasons, and I've highlighted them in these 3 points. The first is, I was fascinated with the intersection of technology, data, and management. And why that fascinated me was simple. In 2017, I enrolled into a mentorship program because I wanted to understudy and learn from the coach who currently is my boss. I wanted to learn from him. I had gotten into human capacity development. I was doing trainings, coaching, and all of that. And so I enrolled into this mentorship program to not just be mentored, but also to learn from him. Now, along the line, I volunteered to work for the organization, and I identified or discovered that the website they had at the time was not functional. It was static, it wasn't doing anything. And I thought to myself, there are a lot of things we could do if our website was more functional. And I asked him, why is our website not functional? It was a startup at the time. He said, well, we would like to get a new website, but we don't have funds to pay developers. Apparently, they had reached out to people, and the amount being called was crazy. Now, I hate coding. Disclaimer, even till now, I don't like coding. But I wanted to be able to build a website for the organization or find a way around it. So I went online on YouTube and started searching. And I discovered, you can actually build websites with things like WordPress, like Elementor and all of that. So I decided to look at that and see if I can learn that. And for the next 3 to 4 weeks, after my day job, at night I would stay up watching videos on how to build a website with Elementor. I used part of my salary to purchase a domain name for myself and started building a website for myself in the course of that. And the ultimate goal was because I wanted to be able to learn that and make a proposition to my boss. So when I was confident that I could do that well enough, I made a proposal to him, and here was my proposal. I'm going to build a website for the organization. I'm not asking you to pay me any money for it. I'm going to take the risk, build a new website for the organization, and I'll present it to you. If you like it, you can refund whatever I've spent in building the website. If you don't like it, I'll take it at my loss. He said, okay, that's fine, we can do that. So for the next 2 weeks, I went on building a website for the organization. By the time I was done, presented it to him, he was amazed. He called me that night, come. We need to add this here, add this here, add this here, add this here. We are launching this tomorrow, and all of that. And that was the birth of Mode Africa's website at the time. And he refunded me the money and actually paid me an extra huge amount of money as a thank you from the organization. And that was where I started building websites. So I was understudying him as a coach. I was running trainings for some of our mentors, people who come to enroll into our organization to learn how to mentor teenagers because we work with teenagers and all of that. And I was doing a lot of all that, different things. I didn't have a job description actually. At the time, I was responsible for keeping records in the organization. I was responsible for maintaining the website. I was responsible for a lot of things. And I knew that there was somewhere there, my love and interest in human capacity development was beginning to get married to technology. And so, by the time I got married, yes, this is off the market. By the time I got married in 2022, I had to make a decision. My wife at the time was still completing her doctorate from CIU. So she flew back to Nigeria for us to complete her wedding and everything, but she had to return to Cyprus to complete her doctorate. And so we figured, a newly married couple, you can't stay away for a year. Okay, we decided I was going to eventually put in for master's program. So I told her, send me the curriculum for all the master's programs available at CIU. Let me look through them and see which is relevant to what I'm doing. And so when I looked through all of that, I saw management information systems started looking through it. I'm like, this looks interesting. I'm seeing database, I'm seeing data science, I'm seeing artificial intelligence, I'm seeing things in those areas. Okay, this looks like what I can do. Now, bear in mind, I had never done a course related to any of those. And so she told me, remember that you're still going to have to do some foundation courses today. I said, as long as this is in the path I want to go, I can take the risk. I can make the sacrifice. And that was why I came into MIS. So the intersection of technology, data, and management, the relevance of it to the real world problems that I was trying to solve, and the desire to pivot into the required skills for me to get more into the field I was operating in also brought me to MIS. Now, having brought you to this point, I want to share with you some of them were shockers that became vital lessons for me. But some of the lessons I learned in the course of my master's program in management information systems that I think can be relevant to you as you begin to make decisions about where next from here. How many of us are ready to go on that journey with me? How many of us want to learn those lessons? All right. The first lesson is that the curriculum will not be sufficient to prepare you for the job markets. And this is not an indictment on the lecturers, on your lecturers. I had the good fortune of having some of the best lecturers in the course of my study. My database management lecturer is here. I loved working under her. And Dr. Labran is also here, who was our practicals instructor. And it was fun. We had so much fun in class. Then, sorry? All right. I had a lot of lecturers, Dr. Kian in data science, Dr. Nat with business intelligence, and I could name all of them, Dr. Mary, information system design, and all of that. And they do their best. They would give you as much as they can. But you must understand that we are in a time and generation where development is fast-paced, information is fast-paced. And so if you want to be more relevant in the job market beyond school, you have to go beyond the classroom. You have to go beyond the classroom. You have to study beyond the curriculum. You have to study beyond the confines of work. The way I approached my master's program was simple. Every curriculum, every time the curriculum was made available, I looked through it. Every class, sometimes ahead of the class, I read the material so that in class, any new information that is not in the material, I'm able to pick it. And then after the class, I go online to check more things to help me improve in those areas. Because the time frame you have to cover the curriculum in class is not going to be enough for the competence you require to be able to show that you've gone through this in the job market. The job market is not necessarily interested in your certificates. I'm sorry to say this, it's not necessarily interested in your certificates if you don't have competence to back it up. I'll say that again, the job market is not necessarily interested in your certificates if you don't have the competence to back it up. And the competence to back it up is something that you have to be intentional about building. A lot of the lecturers will do their best, give you materials, give you guidance. I remember the second class, I sat under Dr. Nat. I remember I entered the class. I was very fascinated in that class. I entered the class and she came in, she turned off the lights in the class. She said she wanted to show us a video. I still remember that video, 14 Growing Industries of the Future. She played that video in class, we watched it. And I was looking at all those fields. Artificial intelligence, cloud computing, genomics, and all of that. After that class, I sat down, wrote down those 14 industries and started looking at videos online, tutorials or information on each of those areas to find out which one I think I'll be more interested in going deeper into and what they entail. Now, the job of the lecturers in class oftentimes will be to open your eyes to the possibilities and ground you in the fundamentals, the foundations. But the time you have to go through the curriculum in every semester is not sufficient to properly prepare you. And again, I say it is not an indictment on the lecturers. It is not even an indictment on the school, as it were. It's because the time and planning for curriculums means you wouldn't have sufficient time for this competence. Point number 2 is your certificates and grades are good, but they are not enough. Find opportunities to solve problems. If there's anything you want to pick from here, just the second statement, find opportunities to solve problems. the job market is looking for problem solvers, right? Solutions. If you have ever gone to LinkedIn and taken time to observe how people write about themselves and what they are doing and all of that, and even posts that talk about winning CVs, formula, and all of those things, you will notice that a CV that highlights, oh, I did this course, I did this, I had a certificate in this, doesn't necessarily move people who are looking for recruitment as much as a CV that highlights, I was able to do this. So, for example, I served as the vice president, or I served as the general secretary of Digital Technologies Club, Cyprus International University. That's interesting. What did you do with that? What problem did you solve? So you must be intentional about identifying gaps and problems and asking yourself, how can I provide solutions to this? And oftentimes you find that in asking that question, you begin to understand better what areas you want to grow competence and capacity in, what areas you want to grow skills in, and even the courses you might want to learn. And I'll use myself as an example. One of the things that made it easy for me to pick up on a lot of things in class very easily was because I was already working in an organization that I had a lot of responsibilities, that some of the things I was learning in class were relevant to. So when I was studying database management systems, for example, I was going back to the system at work to ask myself, how can I improve our database? When I was studying business intelligence, I was asking myself, how does this particular lecture, this particular course help me to improve the systems at work? When I was studying information system design, I was asking myself, what do I need to improve in the work at the moment? And so, as a matter of fact, by the time I finished my entire coursework and everything, I sent my boss a screenshot of my transcripts. I'm like, I'm done with the master's program, 4/4, perfect CGPA. He smiled and told me, that's good. But he said to me, the greater testimony I'll give you is that I and the organization felt the impact of the master's program that you did. For him, that was what was most important. Yeah, you had a 4.4 CGPA, that's wonderful. But I can actually vouch if someone says, is this guy good in this? Because I see the impact the problem you solve in the organization. And recruiters are looking for people who will solve problems. So as much as you must be excellent and diligent in your studies as a student, you also want to ensure that you are finding problems and solving. And some of the things we're going to touch on today will help you see ways you can find, solve problems. Point number 3 is the importance of foundational technical knowledge in your field, whatever field it is. I started building websites in 2019 with WordPress, Elementor, and all of that. Of course, I didn't have some fundamental knowledge regarding certain other areas to pay attention to while building websites until I came into the course by Dr. Miriakoy on information security. All through my building websites before then, I only paid attention to SSL as a security measure. I got into information security class. When I saw all the different ways hackers can mess up the websites I built, I was like, ooh, there's a lot of vulnerability there, right? And so building up from that, I started learning all the other ways to be able to improve the security of the websites of my clients. And I actually went back to some old clients and told them, at no extra cost, I want to implement some things on the websites I've already built for you to ensure extra security. And that was wonderful because about 2 of them eventually, through that interaction, told me, I want you to build this other website of organization or for me and all of that. All right, so the more you solve problems, the more relevance you show in the job market or in your industry. So, understanding the fundamental principles guiding all that you do is important, right? Point number 4, choose your courses based on the career path you desire and their relevance to the path. Ignore the temptation to follow the easy route. I have a very practical reason why I included this point. There are 3 courses I did in the course of my master's program that if I was being careful about not getting a bad grade or not messing up my transcripts, I wouldn't have taken them, and it would be a disservice to me. The first time I opened the portal opened for us to register, I think that was in my second semester, and there was a course by one of the courses I did. I think it was business intelligence. Yeah, Dr. Nat, Master Nat. I remember about 2 or 3 people who had already done courses with that telling me, guy, looks like you choose another course. It's hard to make an A in this woman's course. Yeah. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay. And yes, I'm not going to be in denial. I wanted to come out with excellent grades. I didn't want to mess up my grades. But for me, I had to weigh it. Do I want to sacrifice something I find relevant in just because I wanted to get excellent grades? And I told myself I can get excellent grades and still get the relevant courses. And the lesson from my undergraduate days actually helped me also make that decision. When I was in high school, for those of us who are Nigerians or West Africans, you know about WAEC, right? So in preparing for WAEC, I wanted to ensure I had only A's and B's in my WAEC. So I had struggles with further mathematics. So I removed further mathematics from my WAEC courses, right? I didn't want to do economics either. So while others were doing 9 courses for their WAEC, I did 8. Yes, I had A's and B's, no C's. I was happy about it. Then I got into undergraduate study. Year 1, 2 of the foundational courses you must do, Maths 111 and 112, were further maths. I messed up. So I told myself, I'm not going to repeat that pattern. So I took the courses I found relevant for what I wanted to do. And thankfully, it worked out well. I made the high grades, and I picked the lessons. And actually, that lecturer that they wanted me to avoid her courses because I wouldn't make an A ended up being my supervisor for my thesis. Alright. Point number 5. There is a need for adaptable skills in fast evolving fields. You must be an avid learner to keep pace with the industry. I'm sure many of us here, if not all of us, have heard of statements like AI is going to take over. AI is taking over jobs and all of that. Yeah, it's cause for you being alert, but it's not cause to be afraid, especially if you understand how to leverage that. But the point is that what was obtainable 3 years ago in the same field you're studying has changed, has moved. So beyond classroom, here's the thing about your career and what you're doing. Don't wait to be spoon-fed. And I see this a lot of times in students. You're waiting only for what the lecturer is teaching you in class. And then you go, this will don't teach us so well and all of that. Your career is a responsibility. Be an avid learner. You want to go into AI, beyond what is taught in class, do the research. You want to go into cloud computing, beyond what is taught, do the research. You want to go into database management, whatever career path, go the extra mile. Be a constant learner. A constant learner. I was telling Ojam right now that one of the things I did during my studies was every semester, once, if you go to Moodle, you have your files, the course files and everything available where you can see all the materials for your course. I will download all of them and save them on my laptop in folders. Right now, I have a CIU folder on my laptop, CIU, first semester, second semester, third semester, and all the courses I did, all the materials are there. And from time to time, if I want to refresh my memory, I have a challenge in an area, I'll go back to those systems, check through the materials, find the answer there and all of that. Because for me, beyond the grade and the performance in school, it was about having tangible skills, right? So that when I come out and tell someone, I studied management information systems as a master's student, I did this course, and this course, I won't be ashamed when they start having discussions in that area. I'm not hiding my face. Because, you didn't learn anything. You have to be an avid learner. You have to be intentional in your learning. Now, the 6th point here, and this is very important. One of the greatest opportunities you must learn to maximize is building networks. Building networks. I believe that one of the biggest blessings of institutions like this, especially in a place where you have multicultural influence, is being intentional about networks. There are doors that will be opened to you because of the networks you have. Not necessarily because of just the technical skills you have. There are opportunities that will be made available to you because of the people who know you and people who you know. Not necessarily just because of your technical skills. I'm standing here speaking to you today because I had the good grace of being recommended for this by Dr. Kia, the head of department for MIS. So the networks is the vertical network, upward network, and there's also the network on the level. Build intentional networks with people you meet in the course of your study. I had courses I took from outside my department, from other departments. I did foundational courses and all of that. And once I identify certain persons in those courses and all of that, I make it a point to connect with those persons, learn from those persons, and where I can connect with them. Because the network to build would help tomorrow, right? Because at the end of the day, like Hojambena was saying, if tomorrow I have a multi-billion company and I want to recruit people who are skilled in this area or that area, the first thing I will do before I go outside to start running adverts or recruiting is asking myself, within my space, within my network, who do I know? And right now, actually, even as a graduate, there are some projects that I'm currently working on, that some of the people I'm working on those projects with are people I met in the course of my master's program, people I connected with. So build networks, don't isolate yourself. And one of the ways you can do that as an undergraduate student or even a master's student, make yourself available for things like conferences held in the faculty and department, projects held in the faculty and department. Some of us, we avoid those things. Your lecturer has to tell you he's marking attendance for that for you to come. I know, right? Because I was also there, I know, right? But it shouldn't be so, especially if you're being intentional about trying to build towards a career. Make it a point of importance to connect to those kind of networks and events and meet new persons, connect with new persons, grow your network. It will help you. The seventh thing is to get involved in projects, just like I was saying, projects, conferences, and any opportunity that builds you and increases your credibility, both to your lecturers and the wider community, right? Here's the truth in the job market. The truth is, like I said, it is more about who knows what you do than it is about just what you do. And it begins in school. It begins in your study right now. You'll get recommendations from your lecturers if they know and they are confident about your competence. If you keep hiding in class, avoiding conferences and projects, volunteering opportunities, nobody knows how good you are. So you have to make yourself available for those opportunities. I don't know how many of us attended, there was a conference we held, I think it was last year, Tech Excellence. How many of us attended that? Looks like. How many of us are in applied sciences?
Not even one.
Applied sciences. All right. Last year we organized a conference in partnership with Digital Technologies Club, and we had the good backing of almost all the lecturers in applied sciences. Right. And it was a conference where we got to explore the possibilities in applied sciences, the career possibilities, skill areas, and all of that. And it was a good opportunity for a lot of people to meet and connect and learn. Those are the kind of opportunities you want to make available to yourself. Now, the question you want to ask yourself then is beyond school, right? How can I make what I do relevant to me? Like I said earlier, make sure that in the course of your studies, you are picking courses, at least to the best of your knowledge, that are relevant to the path you're trying to take. Don't go for the path of least resistance. Go for the path that is relevant to where you're going for, what you're trying to build. And I highlighted a few things here to show you. For me, I picked courses in the course of my master's program that I felt were relevant to what I was doing and where I was going. And I found solutions through them for what I was doing. In the job I do, I mentioned earlier that I'm the international coordinator of an NGO, of a non-profit. We partner with schools across Africa to mentor teenagers in emotional intelligence, personal development, resilience, and all of that. And I do that alongside managing the technical aspects of the organization's operation. And these are just a few of the courses I did and how they helped in what I do, right? Data science, business intelligence helped me to begin to do more data-driven decisions at work. As a matter of fact, I remember a meeting where I had to make a presentation to my boss. This was after I had taken some classes with Dr. at BI and Power BI and with Dr. Kia. So I took some data. I remember I said that right from 2018, I was responsible for records at work, but I didn't know what to do with those records on a data scale, right? So in the course of my master's program, I went to pull out those data and started working on those data, drawing insights from those data. I remember making a presentation to my boss one day, and he said to me, "So we've had all this data all along, and we didn't do." I said, "Well, we are growing now. We understand it better now." And that's because I picked something that is relevant to what I was doing. Information security, I've mentioned how it helped me in my freelance work as a web designer, but also in the organization. I helped me beef up our website and some of our processes. Systems design helped me to design scalable user-centered solutions for some of our projects that we wanted to get people into. I remember also education technology. I remember Dr. Ahmed teaching us about UI, user interface designs and all of that. And I remember having to walk through creating a funnel, a landing page for something we were working at work. And I had to just go and pull up the material from the course to look at something you mentioned. And also, we run mentoring programs for teenagers. So I had to go back to paying attention to some of those, some of the things we learned in class about designing curriculums, pedagogy, and all of that. I started looking through them and saying, are there ways we can improve how we deliver our mentoring to the teenagers? And even the trainings I run for the mentors, because I am responsible for training the mentors we deploy on the field. And I had to change my approach at some point based on some of the things I learned in class, and it yielded results. I had a feedback May of this year from the a batch of training we did, where there's two of the persons that came in for that training had been in a previous training, and they gave a feedback that the way we are going about the training now is more efficient, and it makes it easier for them to understand how to interface with the students in class. And all of this is because I paid attention to asking myself, how is what I'm learning going to help what I do at work, right? And of course, organizational management helped me to create an improved organizational culture and atmosphere at work. Okay, so because of time, I'm going to show us this slide. I titled this Beyond the Curriculum, Key Takeaways for You as you prepare for the job market. 6 skills beyond the classroom. Seek hands-on learning. Identify solutions people need and pay attention to soft skills. Apart from your technical skills and all, pay attention to the skills that help you actually to engage and pull people along in the line with the vision you're trying to create and what you're trying to do, right? And I've talked about the power of networking. I just skip all of this. Yeah, this is where I want to end. A few advice I want to leave for you. Take ownership of your learning journey. I mentioned that earlier. Take ownership of your learning journey. You are responsible for determining the path you're going. Don't let anybody transfer or project their fears or their insecurities on you and make you make a decision that is not relevant to you. Explore interests that excite and challenge you. Seek to solve problems. I've said this over and over again. Seek to solve problems. And lastly, collaborate, innovate, and live in your own unique way. Network with people. Find ways to collaborate. We are in a time where collaboration is more vital than trying to compete, as it were. That's the truth. If you can find ways to collaborate, you will leverage people, get more done in less time and with less effort. All right? And that brings me to the end of the presentation. I'm hoping that in the midst of all this story I told, you've been able to pick a few things that can help you in making a decision for your career. Thank you. Do you have any questions from anybody?
Can I do the first one?
Yes, ma'am.
Remember you told us to hate coding?
Yes.
But that's like the first advice you're giving us.
So, let's go back to the advice.
And no, it's normal. I can understand.
Yeah.
In today's
So,
world,
yes, in today's world it's important, and I actually am supposed to have mentioned something. Coding is beautiful, but even now I don't do coding. Yes. But I get the jobs done that will require coding. So that's why I talk about learning, right? Right now there are lots of things you can do that traditionally would require you to have gone through years of coding that you can leverage platforms and tools to do. And if you can't find a platform or two, collaborate with someone who's good at coding. I have a friend who's excellent at programming. When he gets stuff and I need to get something that requires programming, I reach out to him. But generally speaking, there are lots of AI platforms that you can use, for example, to do a lot of things. I build websites without learning to code. I'm able to create landing pages without learning to code. I'm able to do a lot of things that would have required me to learn to code without learning to code. If coding is an area that you're interested in, by all means, go into it, give it your all. But don't get stuck so much on the skill without asking yourself, how does it help me solve problems? Because at the end of the day, you spend years learning the skill, being attached to it. You go to the job market. Yes, I'm excellent in C++, SQL, this and that. Okay, this is the problem we have. How can you solve it? So learn to conceptualize your skill in the context of the problem you want to solve. That's what gives you relevance. Not just the skill. The skill is important, but how does it solve a problem? That's the most important question to ask yourself. Is that okay?
Because, yes, Nwabueze is the expert on the coding, right?
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Any question? Okay.
How can we go beyond the curriculum with the lack of time and when already courses are hard, difficult?
When all the courses are difficult.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but you know, there's no enough time to go like that beyond the curriculum.
Okay. I'm going to give you a bit of a tough answer, but I'm going to answer first with a question. How many of you have checked your Facebook today? Facebook account, Instagram account, Twitter?
At the moment, they're checking.
Please. How many of us? Don't be ashamed. I'm raising my 2 hands. I also have. Right. All right. Beautiful. Here's an assignment I will give you. If you will be sincere with yourself. I know I use Android phone. I don't use iPhone. I don't know about iPhone, but I know on my Android phone, on my settings, I can actually check the amount of time I spent on an app every day. If you audit at the end of today how much time you spend on some platforms, you'll find out that conveniently, on average, most persons spend about 7 to 8 hours of their day across different social media platforms. Everybody has 24 hours, sir. The proof of desire is in pursuit. I always say that. You would never have enough time if you don't intentionally make enough time. I was doing my master's program, I'm married, I was working, raising money for my family, pursuing also other interests, and looking for jobs also because Cyprus and all, right? But I realized that, and of course, I had a full-time job that I needed to dedicate time to also. It was uncomfortable for me, but it meant that for the duration of my working, my studying in CIU, many times I had to wake up at night to do some reading, to do some studying. I had to, every week, earmark, okay, I want to ensure that this week I dedicate at least 5 hours to researching on this or studying on this. If you are intentional about it, you'll be able to carve out time. So when I say go beyond your curriculum, if you identify that it is important for me that in the next 3 months I want to build competence or skill, for example, in data analysis or cloud computing, if it's intentional and important to you, you'll be able to mark out time. Ask yourself, what are the things I'm spending my time on that I can cut back on? And if you look at it oftentimes, that's why I ask Facebook and all of that, oftentimes what takes most of our time unaudited is social media. So yes, I agree with you. There's a lot happening. There seems to be no time, but actually you can make time. Right, so that's that. Any other question? Yes, ma'am.
What is the most valuable skill you gain?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
What is the most valuable skill that you gain from
That I gained from my career or my study? Okay, from my study, okay. So I'm going to give you for both career and study. From my study, the most valuable skill I gained, in all honesty, was building teams and network. Why I say that is I naturally am the kind of person that likes to work by myself, figure out problems for myself, find a way around it, not disturb people and all. And because of my study projects and all of that, and learning areas that I needed help, I needed people, I didn't have the skill. Like I mentioned, I have a friend who is very good with programming, and some ideas I come up with, I don't know how to execute it because I don't. So I'll call him, reach out to him, and all of that. And that helped me to settle into being comfortable working with people, collaborating with people more and more. That I think that cuts across both career and my study. In my study, it was also something I mentioned earlier, realizing that it was important for me to be decisive about what I wanted, regardless of what's in like the obstacle. So for a lot of us, it's you're going into this semester, these are the courses are available, and you are afraid that, oh, because they say this about this course, just be decisive. What do you want? Forecasts. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what am I building towards? How relevant is this to it? Forget about what's every other. Don't let people project their fears to you and make a decision based on the fears of others. Be decisive about what you want. Go with it. And here's the hard truth about it. Sometimes it may input backfire. The course you know is relevant to where you're going. You may struggle with it. You may make a C when you're aiming for an A and O, but take the long view. It's better you make a C in a course that you put in your best and effort and learn from that. And 5 years from now, it's relevant to where you're going, right? Than going the easy route and taking a course just because it's easy to make an A. And 5 years from now, you get to a point where you're like, I wish I had taken this other course because it would have been more relevant to this place. So you have to be decisive. Right, so. All right now.
When you work as someone who is or works on the job, or can we give you the microphone, sorry? There you go.
Yeah.
As someone who works in MIS or data science or artificial intelligence, what is your work life? What do you do in your work life? And can someone who works in these jobs, can he like be a home office work and have time for his life? And what do you do in your work job, like
Okay.
in home, for example, or
So-
the job?
All right. So the straight answer is I work from home. I manage projects in Nigeria and Kenya. I'm in Cyprus. I work from home mostly. And there are a lot of jobs you can do remotely from home. But if you're asking what I do in the context of MIS, there's no job outside called MIS. There's no job outside called MIS, right? There's no job outside called database management systems. Understand that every course you're going to take in the course of your this thing are courses that help you build the foundations for skills, right? So if you're asking what you do in day to day, it depends on what you want, what kind of job or work you're trying to build, what kind of career you're trying to build. There are people who want to be able to get freelance or work remotely or build their own business in a company. So the most important question I think you would ask is, what do I want going forward? But in the context of MIS, explore the courses that you have available to you per time and ask yourself, how does this contribute to where I'm going? Because there are a lot of divergent courses you will see, right? There are lots of courses in MIS, for example, right? Someone can go into artificial intelligence on its own is a broad field. There are people who are focusing in neural networks and things like that. Data science on its own is a broad field. So you want to ask yourself, what exactly do I want to build as a career, what path? And it's okay if at this phase, maybe as an undergraduate, you're not yet clear, right? But what are the things, the areas you have interest in, or the areas that you find yourself fascinated about? You can take courses in those areas. The bliss of your undergraduate years is it's not risky to explore diverse courses. As you go higher, master's, PhD, it becomes easier to begin to narrow it. But if you're on the undergraduate, it's easy for you to take a course in this area, take a course and say, this interests me, this looks like something relevant to where I'm going. And as you learn the foundations, it becomes clearer for you how you can work with those. And then in the course of your path, you can decide whether you want to work in a big organization, work remotely, and chart the course around that. Is that okay? All right. Any other question?
One there.
Okay.
So, first of all, thank you for sharing your ideas with us. And you mentioned that you spent there was a 10-year gap between your bachelor degree and master's degree when you started the master's. And I did 4 years of basically, I decided that it's not for me and started to study IT. So sometimes my problem is that sometimes I think back and think that I wasted those years. And what is your, what for someone that spent 10 years just like exploring, self-exploring and exploring career paths, what's your advice for me that have these situations?
The past is the past. So I don't want to keep it as simple as that's why it looks like I'm invalidating. So the truth is, even I myself, there are some things I see of opportunities. I'm like, if only I started this thing like 6 years ago, this is where I could have been. But you can't get back the past. For me, what I do actually is to draw strength from the past. Right? Ask myself, there are certain things that the seeming wasted time in that course that you did are helpful. Like, there are certain benefits you will find in the course. There are things I find easier to relate with, even in this new field, as unrelated as it may seem, because of some of the things I learned then. But the most important thing is, this is 2024. 4 years from now, 5 years from now, it will be 2028, 2029, right? And you would look back at 2024. Would you rather that because you're still stuck on the regrets of 4 years ago, that you don't make the most of this moment, and then 4 years from now, you're still regretting this moment? So that's why I started at the beginning by saying the past is the past. Take it as a learning experience. Some things would not make sense to you now. 10 years from now, you may look back and some of the experiences, and this is where also, for me, I always say, beyond the classroom learning, there are other avenues of growth that your academic journey bring with them. There are vital, valuable friends I have from undergraduate days. There are networks and connections I have from those undergraduate days. So while it was a time that if you look at it or you say it was a waste of time, but it taught me that neuroscience, neurosurgeon that I thought I wanted to be, I'm now sure that I'm not supposed to be a neurosurgeon. I don't want to be a neurosurgeon. Yeah, maybe it took me 4 years to realize that. That's fine. I realized that that's not the path I'm going. Now I know the path I'm going, and that's okay. There's always, as long as you give your best to where you are right now, to what you are doing right now, you want to be able to, in the next 4 or 5 years, look back and be proud of the choices you're making now. So don't regret yesterday. Don't hold on to yesterday. It's a learning experience. You learn from that, move on, and grow from where you are. Right?
Can I add to that? Did you go through the 4 years of nursing?
Yes.
Good. Last year, I brought in a guest from the field, a nurse, but collaborated with IT software people, and they have created, well, she is the mastermind of it. She has created her own device using augmented virtual reality, and she's making a lot. Just bringing her expertise from nursing and from technology together. So the sky is the limit. Nothing is a waste. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing is a waste. Really. Nothing.
Any
Thank you for
other-
asking that question.
Yes, any other questions? Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're popular. But I have to interfere here. I will make this the last question. You can
Have you
ask
done
it
any
afterwards.
volunteer job?
Sorry?
Working as a volunteer?
Have I done volunteer work?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot.
A
Between
lot.
2015 and 2017, I did a lot of volunteer jobs. The job I now work on, I mentioned I'm international coordinator of Kids to Homes. It actually started as a volunteer job in 2017. I volunteered to work with the organization. I saw some gaps in the organization I could fill in. Volunteered. 5 months into the job, I was offered a permanent role in the job. Moved cities that same year, and then built from there, and we've transitioned a lot over the years, and here I am. So I've done a lot of volunteer.
And what is your biggest achievement?
My biggest achievement as a volunteer, in what area?
About your major.
About my major, that's MIS that I did, or my job. So the biggest achievements I can mention in different areas. Was my biggest achievement as a web designer, as a coordinator of an international project, as a trainer, as a coach. So what do you want exactly? My biggest achievement as a volunteer through that volunteering path to where I am now. Is that what you're asking?
Actually, all of you say is achievements. I mean,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Job-wise in my career, what I consider my biggest achievements is the fact that a project that started in just 2 cities in Nigeria, when I started working there, right now we are in 11 cities in Africa, Nigeria and Kenya, and currently in talks to start the project in Ghana and have established a rapport with another African country where we want to start the project. I consider that's one of my proud moments in the job. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's working. Can I ask you, what is the meaning of life for you? Like, you're working all life, building your career, like, finish magister degree, finish it.
What is the meaning of
For you, yeah.
life for me?
Yeah. Why are you making all of this work?
Impacts
Impact.
from me, really.
Uh-huh.
From a young age, I dreaded dying without my life having affected anybody. I think that's one of the reasons why wherever I find myself, whether it's coming into a master's program 10 years after my undergraduate, I came into this school saying I'm not just going to be a student in class, I'm going to find a way to have an impact, affect the next person, impact the next life, inspire the next person, just as I am doing now. I consider this a very beautiful moment for me. The fact that I'm able to share this story and perhaps 1 or 2 persons, even if not every person, can learn something from it, and 5 years from now they can say it was in the course of this talk or in the course of this session that I had a light bulb moment that helped me to shift. I consider that a beautiful thing. So that's the meaning of life for me.
Thank you.